morning. Welcome back to our next session of the Global SU Share Fair. My name is Tracy Held. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne in Australia. I'm sure that you've all heard the rumblings that we've got our Stampin' Up! Convention coming up next week. And one of the fun parts of convention is swapping. So you make a card and you swap it. Well, you don't make one, you make a few, however many, and you swap it with other demonstrators. So you'll end up coming home with a whole selection of cards made by different people, which gives you inspiration to make more cards. And I suppose the bad thing about swapping is you suddenly go, oops, here's a stamp set that I don't have and I thought I didn't like, but I've suddenly realized that I need it and I need it badly. So I've joined in with a couple of organized swaps, and this is one of the cards that I'm going to be making for that swap. Okay, so that's our card that we're making, and I decided that I would share it with you today. It's using one of my favorite stamp sets, or bundles rather, in the new almost old mini catalogue. Now, if you don't have this one and you want it, we don't know yet whether it's carrying over or not, but if it isn't, order it now. So that's the Thoughtful Expression stamp set, and it's got the coordinating dies. Now, the nice thing about these dies is, and sorry, they're all really messy here, but you've got your hummingbird, you know, that coordinates with the stamp, and the flowers and things with the stamp, but then you've also got these shapes and those labels. So lots of useful things in here. Like I say, if you haven't got it, even if it is carrying over, worth ordering it before that mini catalogue ends, so that you get the bundle discount price. Okay, so let's get started with my card. The other thing also from the mini catalogue that we need is the Layered Florals embossing folder. Now, I hope that this is going to carry over because I absolutely love this embossing folder. And what I've done is I've taken my piece of Petal Pink and I've run it through that embossing folder. So I hope that you can see it actually gives you a really deep impression, and that's really nice. So what we're going to do is I'm doing some embossing on here. And don't be too fussed, it doesn't have to be perfect, but give it a good rub with your embossing buddy, particularly kind of the in-between bits. And then you're going to be very brave and take your Versamark ink pad, which is looking a little bit dirty, but that's okay, and gently rub it over your embossing. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is get the Versamark ink on those flowers and leaves that are standing up. I don't so much want it on the in-between bits. So don't press too hard here because we just want to catch the embossed pieces. Okay. And don't get too stressed out because you can always go back and add some more if you need to. And then I'm taking my copper embossing powder and I'm going to throw it over. Okay, so we're trying to get it on those flowers that are standing up. Now, again, you don't have to be too perfect here, but I don't want too much powder on the in-between bits, so I really just want the flowers standing up. So with your brush, you can just go and brush off where you don't want the powder. And like I said to you, try not to get it on, but it's impossible not to get any of the powder on those in-between bits, so just brush off. And if you're happy with it, if you like a bit of more texture on the background, then leave it. I'm going to say that that looks fine for me. Just let's get my embossing powder out the way, and bear with me for a minute because we're just going to make a little bit of noise with the embossing. Alright, now once you've looked at this, if you decide that you want to add some more powder, if there's something that got missed, I'm not going to add any more. I think that I'm quite happy with that. But if you'd missed a flower, you can just go and add some more Versamark and then emboss again. So, thanks, Susan. As I have to say, we don't have hummingbirds here, and I would really, really like to see one, you know, in the feathers, so to speak. But I can't take complete credit for the colors, because I ended up going with these gems, the pretty petal pink and pretty peacock gems. So that was what decided my color combination for me. Right, now I have cut this piece a little bit bigger than we needed, just because I'd rather have it too big than have it too small. So we're going to cut it down, and I just need to see, that's my 10.5. Okay, so you can decide if one side looks better than the other. We wanted 10. And then I'm cutting it into two 4.5 centimeter pieces, which is going to be your 1 3/4 inches. And oh, that didn't cut very well, but okay. Keep the little piece that you've off cut, because we're going to use that for the bottom. And while I've got my trimmer, I just want to score my card base. That was my paintbrush falling on the floor if you heard something clatter. And this I'm just scoring at my standard card base size, so 14.9 centimeters. If you're working in inches, that would be your 5.5 inches. Okay, now let's just give that a nice press with the bone folder. And oh goodness, I've just realized that I don't have an inside base here. Let me just check that that's the correct size. Okay, lucky I have a spare piece of cardboard lying around here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is stick my offcut from the embossing onto the bottom of my insert. Okay, yeah, I don't think that the hummingbirds come as far as Australia. One day I'll have to come and visit there, make sure that I'm in hummingbird season so that I get to see them, because I love the look of them, and I've heard that they're teeny tiny, so I really, really want to see them. Okay, and this is, you may have noticed, my latest, where I like adding a strip of the card base color to my strip of whatever I'm putting on the bottom, and then we're going to stick that on the inside with the complementary hair. Okay, now I'm going to take one of my pieces, and it doesn't matter which one, there's no having to match it up or right way or wrong way, it's just as it comes here. Okay, and we're going to stick that onto the top over here. I've got another strip which is the exact same size as my top piece there, and we're going to stick our other piece, which didn't cut so well. Let me just trim this off. There we go. Now, when you're doing your hummingbird, try that again. When you're doing your embossing, stamp and emboss a hummingbird as well. I just did this in advance because I thought you wouldn't want to see me embossing too many things. Now, where I've cut here, my pretty peacock is the largest of, I don't know what shape we're calling this, and then the white is the second largest, which has the hummingbird on it. And then I'm going to do some very simple colouring, because I always do simple colouring, and some days when I can't see so well, simple colouring works better for me, and some days it's just really hard to see where the lines are, to colour inside the lines. Okay, so we're going a little bit darker on the edge of the wings and in the tail feathers here. And I want to do his head. Sorry, my eyes just decided to play up, because why wouldn't it? Okay, and then with my lighter pretty peacock, we're going to fill in the difference. Now obviously you can do much better colouring than me, but this is okay. It's giving me the look that I want. And then I'm taking some of my dark petal pink. Now there's no special reason here. I always just use the bullet tip when I'm colouring in smaller areas, and I use the brush tip for bigger areas. I know that some people don't like using the brush tip. For me, it's just quicker for the bigger areas, so I just do that. Okay, so there's my hummingbird, very simple. And always remember with these blends that if it doesn't look right or something looks not great, just give it a few minutes, because they do dry lighter and the colors do change a bit as they dry. Right, now we're going to stick this one onto my pretty peacock shape. And all that I'm doing is lining up the bumps. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to line up the bottom, along the bottom edge and the side edges, and I find it easier if you've just got a bulldog clip lying around to just hold that there with your clip. Now I just need to see. Okay, so I'm going to put that like that. Okay, so that's a top. So with the mini dimensionals, I'm just putting 3 in the bumps at the top and 3 in the bumps at the bottom. Now this may seem like a bit of overkill, but I find that sometimes the dimensionals don't like sticking to the embossing, so what I do just to make sure that it's going to stick is just put a drop of my liquid glue onto the dimensionals as well. And then trying to center it more or less. And right, so we're just making sure that those dimensionals aren't overhanging because I don't want to glue my card closed. Now, I did stamp my sentiment before, and you can see I stamped it a few times, and I actually may have stamped it a few more times than this, but I always like to stamp my sentiments in advance, particularly when they need to be straight, because I never know what my eye's going to be doing when I'm on camera, and at the moment it's not playing nicely with me. And then I've got another strip of the Pretty Peacock, which we're going to stick down. And I have made this that it doesn't have a very big edge here, so it's quite a narrow edge. And we'll just trim the edges to match. And some more of the little dimensionals. I'm not going to worry about putting glue on the back of these ones because I don't know, it's really strange that the sentiment seems to stay put. Maybe it's because it's a bit more supported than the shape is. But I've had a couple of those shapes coming loose, which is why I like putting the glue and the dimensionals. And lastly, of course, we need bling. So some of these, I keep wanting to say Pretty Pink and Petal Peacock. Pretty Peacock and Petal Pink gems, and we're just going to add a few. Oops. Okay. There we go. So there's my cards with the 2 different color gems, and hopefully the people who swap with me at convention are going to really like those. So thank you for your comments. Like I said, I'm not seeing so well, so I will respond to anybody if there were any questions that I need to respond to. And go grab a quick cup of coffee. Annette will be up in 10 minutes time. So enjoy the rest of your day. If you're in Melbourne, keep cool. We've got a boiling hot weekend here. And I will see you next time. Have a great weekend. Bye.